So I'm Allie Robertson. I am a fifth year film and media major, no declared minor. I'm working towards becoming a graduate student, and I have, unfortunately, very bad anxiety.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Duncan Glancy. I'm a fourth year film student here at Queens, and I am a big advocate for mental health, mental awareness, or mental illness and health awareness, rather. And yeah, I try and do as much as I can to, not just spread awareness, but also like get involved in, anything mental health associated. I'm also an artist, so I make music oriented around my experiences with mental health, and I try and help as many people as possible that are dealing with it. Specifically my loved ones and my friends, because everyone, or at least everyone that I know, deals with it for sure. So
My name's Emily, um, and my brother has had a lot of mental health concerns for pretty well their whole life.
I also grew up on TV. I was a bit of a TV kid, and not a lot of shows actually have characters that are even remotely have mental health problems, and when they do, they are completely and utterly victimized or turned into these monsters that you really can't deal with. And like trying to think about it, I don't think I've ever been able to find a character that 100% is like, yep, that sounds about right. That's how I feel. I see characters that I relate to, especially in certain areas from growing up, but mental health is not represented well. I mean, it's getting better, but
yeah, I mean, well, and even myself, I'm doing a short film on a horror short film on schizophrenia for my thesis film, and the one thing that I was constantly thinking and asking myself when I was writing it is this going to be offensive?
What are your overall impressions of mental health representation in
It's
media
shit.
right now?
It
Yeah.
is shit. I don't know, I'm not going to tread lightly here, I guess.
my options are magically get cured, which I don't see happening, or be the villain. It's kind of the I would rather be portrayed as the villain than see the magical cure, because at least with the villain, I know what's going on. But if the magical cure just is like, it almost feels cruel in a way, because it's like, well, that's not how it's like. You may be able to come to terms with part of it, you may be able to come to terms with all of it, but it's not going to go away one day. You're not going to wake up and be better. It's going to be up and down and up and down. When people talk about it, I'm always just like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works at all.
And I didn't want to give any sort of visualizations that would make fun of the illness or anything like that, right? So I did as much research as I could and tried to properly represent it, but it was I was still thinking like this could still offend somebody.
The first time most people hear the word anxiety or depression is through TV. And if every time they see it, it's through a character who is like legitimately crazy or super, like their symptoms are 100, of course they're not going to feel like they have it. And then they're not going to seek treatment. And then it's going to get really bad. But they're going to play the game of, well, I could be faking it.
There's a salient ideology that when you have a mental health problem, it needs to be as bad as what you see on screen. And if you're feeling a baseline anxiety every single day, that because you're not having active, like, for lack of a better word, breakdowns, that you can't seek help for that. And that is what I take most issue with, is that the everyday experience is just as important as the high stakes moments. And again, you will only see the high stakes moments on screen. I take big issue with the portrayal of just solely depression and anxiety. There are so many other mental illnesses out there that never get touched upon.
You and I both know what the gritty side of anxiety looks like. We know what a panic attack feels like. The gritty depiction is not meant for you and me. It's not meant for people who know what's going on, because no one needs to tell us what's going on. it's for everyone else who doesn't get it.
But in the end, I was asking one of my producers, and I was like, is this offensive? Even though I've tried, all the, precautionary measures that I did and everything. And she was like, honestly, no, because you're trying to, bring light to this mental illness, right? You're trying to share the experiences of it and the feelings that are associated with it. And I was like, yeah, that's so true, because I think that mental health specifically is a very subjective topic, right? Everybody goes through, everyone deals with mental illness in different ways.
The point is to have a plethora of good representations, and not good in that the character is good, but truthful, if I can say that, representations, but not one that everyone's going to agree with. One that a few people will resonate with, and then a few people will resonate with another.
I think the first thing that needs to happen in media when it comes to representation is you need to come to terms with it's not the villain. That destigmatization is going to be the first and the hardest thing to do, because we have only recently started to turn a corner. I think we are coming into an age where we are going to get very, very cautious about how we portray mental health on TV. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to kind of turn into a world of everything has to be handled very carefully. And so that gritty part of mental health is going to disappear.
And so when I was thinking about, okay, how do I represent mental health in a way that is not just entertaining, but is also, a little bit uncomfortable, because it is a quite uncomfortable topic, right? Or it's just her alone and it's just what's going on inside her mind. That was my main sort of thought, where I was like, okay, I want to represent mental illness through the mind of this child, but I don't want to do it too much. I don't want to overdo it too much, because just the fact that it's happening with a 13, 14-year-old girl is enough to, or at least enough for me to be like, yeah, this is definitely a horrific event that is going on.
There's a real problem in which mental illness is thought of like a cut on your hand. That will heal. Maybe you'll have slight scarring. But it's not just going to open up and then close and then open up and close for the rest of your life. Mental illness is something that you live with, and it is part of you. So we have the tools to make these representations reality. But will it be something that everyone's going to enjoy watching? I don't know.
It is really difficult to walk that balance between wanting to showcase the actual systemic issues. Like, my mom works in healthcare. There are really bad systemic issues in, mental health care. And it's really hard to get help. But on the same hand, you need to be very careful of not letting younger people know that there is no hope, because that is just going to make the situation 10 times worse. And where do you draw that line? Where do you find that balance? And I don't think there is one. I think, like a lot of things, you just need to have a lot of stories.
You can make it beautiful and cinematic, but you can also make it hit those really hard to talk about topics. And I think that the beauty with film is showing those really hard to watch scenes where they target, really traumatic episodes of mental illness or whatever, without you actually have, like, the audience member having to actually talk about it, right? You watch it and you're like, oh my God, this is, triggering. This is, really hard to watch. It's sad. It brings me back. Whatever it is, you're connecting to it, and it's affecting you without you even having to be like, oh, what is this about? You know, what is this? What is my relationship to this topic, to this thing that's going on? And I think that's really cool and really important because it makes you think about it, right? It doesn't necessarily throw you right into the ring and be like, hey, like, talk about your feelings. It's you have to do this. You have to have a reaction.
We can't have the same sitcom writers writing about race and writing about mental illness, talking about gender, but at the same time talking about little things that are happening in corporate offices. Like, those people aren't going to have all of those same experiences that they're writing about. So we just need to make those writing rooms a little bit more diverse in terms of life experience and diverse in general. So I just think, like, there's so much potential, and it's so annoying to see so many shows doing nothing with it.
You never know who's going to hear your own story and go, oh, I'm not alone. So I hope once our generation gets into the position of media making, that we turn that corner into actually talking about it and not just using it as a plot device or using it as a trope, of actually being like, this is mental health. It is not fun. It is not romantic. It's going to get dark. It's going to get gritty. But there is also hope of finding people you connect with, of getting help, of getting better. Because it's not going to be like at the bottom of the pit for the rest of your life.
You have all these legendary filmmakers who set precedents and stuff like that, just for film in general, right? Nothing really nitty gritty about it. And so with our generation stepping into their roles, we could definitely, change the game a little bit in terms of what people find important or what people want to watch. I don't know. I really hope. I think we're very vocal. Our generation is very vocal and very. I think we're very powerful when it comes to media specifically.
We're moving in a way right now. Sometimes it feels like we're moving backwards, but on the whole, there's been a steady increase in better representation since the advent of cinema. And I think that maybe it's not even our generation. Maybe it's the generation after us is going to be able to change things. And, it might still be, there might still be a long time before that happens. But I think we're moving in that direction. I have hope. I have some optimism there. One day.